Hey guys, what's up? It's Yana. Welcome to day 22 of Camp NaNoWriMo, July 2021, and welcome back to my door. I also look like I'm naked. I am not, I promise you, I'm dressed. So I went to the beach today with the intention to work. Yeah, I didn't. I just ended up reading some books instead, which is also good because I'm behind on my reading, so that was great. But then after that, I had several hours of lessons. Today is kind of my how many times am I gonna say my fullest work day. So I have the most lessons on a Thursday. So I've literally just finished like 2 minutes ago, and I am completely exhausted. So what are we gonna do with writing today? I'm gonna have to get my energy back before I can do anything, because I also didn't manage to finish that scene yesterday. I said I would update you on whether I did finished fixing it. I did not. So yeah, obviously not a whole lot being done. And then my friend has just arrived from London. She's Bulgarian as well. She's from here, but like she's come back for a little holiday. So that means in the next few days, we're gonna be spending some time together as well. So that's going to take up some time. But I'm actually hoping that having a little bit of fun and like some variety in my day, just going to a few parties, maybe having a few dinners, we're gonna celebrate her birthday as well, is going to be inspiring. And it's going to make me want to write more. It's not that I don't want to write. I actually really, really want to write. It's just that I think it's partially the heat. It's, you want to do it, but your body is just melting. And I like hot, like I wanted this. I wanted 30 something degree heat, because when you live in Scotland and it's as cold in the middle of July as it usually is in spring, to somebody who grew up with summers, with like proper summers like we do here, that can be very, very depressing. So I'm not really complaining about the heat. Like, I want it, but it's just the heat is good for a holiday where you go to the beach, you kind of splooge on the beach, and then you go home and you also splooge home and you just go between dinners and cocktails and swimming and water sports. And when you try to do something with your brain, you know, this is why we're not in school during summer or at university or, you know, anywhere else. It's not just to make use of the good weather, it's also because it's very difficult to work when it's hot. With all of this said, that doesn't mean I'm not planning on working tonight. But I probably just won't be very productive. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go and have something cold to drink and try to wake up a little bit, try to decompress from lessons, because I love my job, but you know, anything that you do for work, even if it's something that you love, you get a little bit stressed and a little bit tired. So I'm gonna try to decompress, and then I'm gonna come back and we'll see what happens. Okay guys, so I've decided what I'm gonna do tonight. I don't think I have the brain cells to do any actual editing and revising, because I use a lot of concentration when I do that, because I don't like going over my manuscript a million times. I do like maybe 3 drafts in total, but like the first one is already kind of readable and you can read it as a book. And then the second one is good but not perfect, and then my third pass, it should be like it should be at a point where I can't see anything wrong with it anymore, and it needs to go to other people to point out any further inconsistencies and problems. So when I revise and edit, I do multiple, like I edit as I write, and when I say first, second, and third draft, I mean of the whole novel, but I do multiple passes on the same chapter I don't like running through the whole novel and like fixing some of it but leaving other things that are wrong, and then doing it all over again from beginning to end, and then doing it all over again from beginning to end. That would drive me insane. I would start hating that book. But what I can do is kind of spend a long time on a chapter, because it's a smaller chunk of writing, and I can go over it again and again and again until I get to the point where now I'm happy with this chapter, and there aren't any big issues that are there that I still feel like I need to fix, and then I move on to the next chapter. Because when I don't do that, and when I leave holes and problems, that can just get overwhelming, and then I don't want to go back and edit it. It just becomes tedious, and I don't want that to happen to my book. I want to have fun reading it. So because of that, as I said, I use a lot of concentration, which I don't have right now because it's late and I'm incredibly tired, and I've been teaching a bunch of kids to debate and spell and speak Bulgarian. It's a great variety of lessons on a Thursday as well. So what I'm gonna do instead is something I should have done ages ago, but the more I get into like the finer details of the book, the more I'm realizing that I need this, and that is creating a bestiary for my creatures. So this is a fantasy, mystery, horror, middle grade adventure, friendship thing book, and it's all about magical creatures, which all of them kind of, both the very highly developed sentient ones and the ones that would be considered animals, they all kind of go under a common title of the hidden in this book. And they are all super important to the plot, and they are not inspired by one particular mythology. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of a bunch of creatures that I've heard of. Some of it is Bulgarian mythology, but some of it is Scottish, like Kelpies are mentioned, and then kind of the main sentient kitten are just fairies. It's like the general idea of the high fae. So that's obviously not very original. Everybody's doing that. But there's a great variety in how they look. So they don't, when I say everybody's doing that, the way that the fae look in this book, even though they are all the same species, technically, they vary in, like, some of them look completely human, some of them have some inhuman parts, some of them have tails, some of them, you know, they look in a variety of ways, which if you look for for pictures of fairies in like in Scottish and English and Irish and whatever folklore, some of the paintings that are done of them, they show them looking very differently from one another. Some of them are just typical fairies, like you find some paintings where they are just, you know, fairies or whatever, but there are some paintings of fairy courts where there's like a very great variety of different looking creatures, and this is how my fae look. So even though they are technically the same species, they can look in a great variety of ways. And then apart from like the fairies, there's also a lot of other races which are very similar to them. They're very humanoid, but they have specific characteristics. And the thing is, because it's not it's not crucial to the plot, like it's very relevant to the plot, but it's not crucial to the plot to figure out exactly what the distinction between the different races and the different species is. I kind of haven't done it yet because I'm dealing mainly with just one particular like type, and some other creatures are just mentioned, and I've kind of just been making it up as I go along. But the further I get into details and the more I want my world to feel very organic and very real and larger than what we are shown in the book. And especially since I've expanded the role of one particular character to be a scientist who actually studies these creatures, and she has written the book that kind of classifies them in a way and gives you information about them. The book existed before, but it wasn't written by like a character that was mentioned. But now, because it's her who has done that, even though she's still quite a minor character, in order to figure out what she's like and what she's gonna be like, because she's more important in the next book or potentially towards the end of this one. I think I've mentioned before, I'm not sure whether the cutoff point for the book is going to stay where it is now, or whether there's going to be a bit more like going into what might be in the next book or might be the ending of this one. We'll see. But the point is I need to start working on classifying my creatures and writing at least tiny summaries of what they are and how they work, because currently, again, because it's not super important, this world does not really have a very clear magic system, by which I don't mean I'm going to have a super soft magic system. I prefer a kind of slightly harder one. I want to know what the rules are, but because they are not really, there's a few kind of spells and magical contracts, and we need to know what the rules on those are, but that is more like, it almost reads as like legal rules of how this thing works, rather than the general rules of how magic works in this world, or how the abilities of different races work. So it wasn't super important up to this point, but I think now it's a good idea to start figuring that out, and that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, let's start doing that. I'm not going to finish tonight. I think this is quite a big task, and I'm probably going to come up with more ideas and keep adding to it, but I can start it. I can start it. Okay, so we've got the hidden encyclopedia and bestiary. So what font shall we use for this title? Should I keep this one, or should I change it? Because I quite like playing with different fonts. I feel like when something looks right sometimes, I don't always bother, but sometimes when it looks right, it gets me really inspired, because it starts to look like a real book, and I can more easily imagine the final product. Do we have anything better here? I don't want to spend forever looking for a font, but like, just in case, I can find something a bit more kind of with a little bit more gravitas. Is that the right word in this case? What about this one? Let's add it to my fonts. What else could we add? I don't want it to be too curvy, because then I can't read it properly. I mean, I know what it says, I don't have to read it, but you know what I mean. Concert one. Ultra, there's so many of them. That's the only thing, like, it becomes overwhelming. I want to play around with them, but then there's so many that it's just rock salt. Homemade apple. Oh my goodness, some of the names on these. Okay, all right. You know what? Let's just try the ones that I already have, and you know what? That looks fun. Let's just try the ones that I have and see what looks the best. So I've got the indie flower. I actually use that for my title because it doesn't look like a flower to me. It looks like vaguely creepy. at least at this stage. I mean, when I decide to actually publish this, I'm sure we can come up with better fonts, but what about Cambria? This is not bad actually, this works. What else have we got? This one looks quite, that looks legit. You know what, I'm gonna keep this one. The Hidden Encyclopedia and Bestiary. And I've already got one entry, which by the way sounds awful, but like at least I got most of the information on there. I'm gonna edit these so that I like reading them a little bit better. Probably nobody else is gonna read them, at least for now. I mean, bits of this are actually in the novel because some of they do actually read the book that has all of this information, so some parts of it will be there, but most of it will not actually be on the page. But I want to have fun reading them. I think what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna look for some images, even though they won't look right because it's not gonna be like commissioned art for my book. Just for inspiration, kind of like a vision board, I'm gonna look for an image for this particular fairy. Let's see what I find. You know what? You can't see it very well at this light, but this can work pretty well as inspiration. I think this is one of the few I found who don't have wings, which this character currently does not. I don't know if I'm gonna give her wings at some point, but currently she does not. She looks basically human, but like white hair and just pretty and powerful, like a sorceress, just like this one. So this can serve for inspiration. This is just a wallpaper, white fairy near tombs, HD wallpaper flare. So I'm just gonna kind of save that page and look at that when I need to kind of imagine what she looks like. For now, it's not exact, but I feel like it's good enough. And here is what I wrote for her entry. So, the White Mistress. The White Mistress is a very old, very powerful fairy who rules over the court of fae who populate Misthaven Hill in Antwood. She has control over sweet bodies of water, such as rivers, lakes, and streams, as well as fogs and mists. Locals, I mean, fogs and mists aren't bodies of water, so I don't know what the hell I was thinking there, but this is just badly written. You have to start somewhere. Anyway, the locals in Antwood love and revere her. She is known as very wise and benevolent towards humans. Her signature plants are the Misty Maids, white flowers which bleed red juice reminiscent of blood when their stems are damaged. Valeria Gale, the town's local hero who is said to have brought peace to Antwood 200 years ago, allegedly met the White Mistress while lost in the forest at age 12 and subsequently formed a bond with her. The fairy imparted some of her wisdom onto the young girl, and this relationship was supposedly instrumental in bringing the humans and hidden of Antwood together. So this is kind of slightly misleading about this character because there's a lot of information that isn't here yet, but I didn't want to show you the spoilers, so I am going to go ahead and finish writing this entry now, and then maybe write a few more entries. So I'm gonna leave you for now and possibly keep working on the encyclopedia, do a few more entries. They're gonna need loads of editing, but it's just for me, right? It's just for me. This is not for public consumption, even though I actually read one to you just now and it was awful. But anyway, I'm gonna keep working. This is all you're gonna get from me for today in the vlog. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!